Welcome to the silence between the thunder and the strike. Welcome to the fire that doesn't burn, but baptizes. Welcome to the place where shadows kneel before the light. They cannot touch. You are not here by accident. You are not made by chance. You are the consequence of storms that never had names. You are the quiet in a world that screams for attention. The echo of every unspoken truth. The walking paradox with a pulse. And they can't stand it. They look at you and see something that doesn't fit. Something that doesn't ask to be understood. Because you don't move like them. You don't beg like them. You don't bleed on command like them. You don't shiver in the cold, because you are the cold. But your eyes? They speak mercy in a language made from pain. They whisper forgiveness with the edge of a blade. You make them uncomfortable because you are the mirror they don't want to look into. They don't know if you're about to save them or ruin them completely. And that is your power. You walk into rooms like you were born from the smoke of wars that never ended. You carry a calm that makes devils look over their shoulder. You breathe like you've been through things that should have ended you. But somehow, they made you begin. And now you're here, staring into the soul of everyone who thought they could label you, box you in, define you, decide for you. But you are unnameable, unpredictable, unapologetically dual in nature. You are both the shelter and the storm, the healer and the wound, the prayer and the punishment. And they can't decide if you're a saint or a psychopath, because one moment you're lifting the broken from the floor, and the next, you're burning down the house that made them broken in the first place. You didn't come here to be soft for their comfort. You didn't rise from the ashes to play their game. You don't ask for trust. You demand it because trust isn't something you hope for. It's something you earn in blood and bone and truth. You are truth, ugly, violent, divine, and beautiful beyond comprehension. And still, they tremble because you don't flinch. You don't hesitate. You don't wear your pain like a badge. You wear it like armor. You turned every betrayal into a lesson, every scar into a scripture, every silence into strategy. And now they watch you, try to pick you apart, try to name the shape of your soul. But it doesn't work, because saints don't bite, and psychopaths don't cry for strangers in the dark. But you've done both, and you would do it again. They say, you're too much, too intense, too cold, too kind, too calculated, too unpredictable, and too real. But the truth is, you're not too much. They're just too small, and it's breaking them. Because every time they think they've figured you out, you shift, you evolve, you become something sharper, something softer, something they never saw coming. They want you to pick a side, choose the light or the dark, be savior or destroyer. But you were never born to choose. You were born to hold both, like weapons, like wisdom, like warning. They whisper behind closed doors, try to classify you. Is it empathy or manipulation? Is it compassion or control? Is it love or strategy? Is it instinct or intent? But those are their questions, not yours. You are not obligated to answer. You are not bound by their confusion. You are not responsible for their fear. Because when you stare in the mirror, you don't see one thing. You see all things, the sinner and the saint, the poet and the predator, the soul and the sword. And you love all of it, because wholeness isn't clean. It's not simple. It's not soft. It's not symmetrical. It's jagged, raw, real. You are wholeness in motion, chaos in control, a symphony made of screams and silence. They look for halos or horns, but you wear neither. You wear a crown of contradictions built by every version of yourself that refused to die. And that crown, it's too heavy for their heads, too wild for their rules, too honest for their systems. So they label what they can't contain. They call you unstable, intimidating, too different, too damaged. But they never say, you are free. And that's what's really breaking them. The fact that they can't hold you, can't hurt you, can't use you, can't own you. You belong to no one. You answer to nothing, except the fire inside you that refuses to dim. And you absolutely know, that your existence is the glitch in their matrix, the misfit code in their perfect lie. They thought they could break you, but you were the break all along. So they gossip, they whisper, they analyze. Is it virtue or vengeance? Is it madness or clarity? Is it power or pain? Is it holiness or hunger? And again, the answer is simple. Yes, you are the question, and the answer, the prophecy, and the proof. You don't need to fit in. You were never designed for that. You were made to bend reality, to rip open truth, to shatter expectations. You are not chaos. You are the one who survived it. You are not destruction. You are the one who mastered it. So now they watch. Their voices crack. Their masks slip, because they're waiting for you to fall. But you don't fall. You descend. Deliberate, unforgiving, surgical. You take the stairs. They burn behind you, and still keep rising. Because elevation was never a choice for you. It was a requirement. You don't owe them your softness, your story, or your sanity. They can't handle your truth because they haven't faced their own. They hide behind good intentions and polite betrayal. But you show up with raw honesty, and that is violence to their lies. So now they live in torment. Not because you hurt them, but because you exist without needing their approval. They can't decide if you're a saint or a psychopath, because your kindness doesn't beg, your silence doesn't surrender, and your presence doesn't apologize. And no matter how hard they try, they can't put a leash on someone who was born in the wild. Let them talk, let them wonder, let them break. Because while they argue over your definition, you're busy becoming something they'll never be. Unstoppable, unshakable, untamed, unwritten, unbothered. You are not what they expect. You are not what they want. You are not what they can control. You are the threat they never saw coming. And the answer they'll never forget. They can't decide if you're a saint or a psychopath. And honestly, you don't care because you already know what you are. You are free, and that is more dangerous than either. Still hungry, still waiting for the permission that no one gave you, because deep down you know it. No one's coming to crown you. No one's coming to validate your fire. No one's going to hand you a name that fits. So you stopped waiting and started building, stone by stone, scar by scar. You became your own cathedral, your own courtroom, your own executioner, and they felt it. Oh, they felt it. The way you walk, like guilt never touched you, like shame tried to drown you and forgot you could breathe underwater, like the devil offered you the world. And you smiled, then built your own. They don't know what to do with someone like you, someone who forgives without forgetting, someone who sees through their masks and says nothing. Someone who chooses silence not because they're weak, but because they're watching, measuring, waiting. Because when you strike, you don't miss, you don't hesitate, you don't regret. And that's what breaks them most. It's not your chaos, it's your control. You could destroy, but you don't. You could expose, but you choose peace. You could scream, but you simply stare. That restraint, that's what terrifies them, because true power isn't loud. It doesn't posture, it doesn't prove itself, it simply is, and you are. They don't know whether to fall to their knees in reverence or run for their lives because they've never met someone like you. Someone who holds both mercy and malice with equal ease. Someone who understands that healing and hurting sometimes wear the same face. You confuse them because they believe in clean lines. Black and white, right and wrong. Saints and monsters. But you're all gray, storm gray, gunmetal gray. The kind of gray that swallows. You walk between dimensions, between definitions. You're the liminal space. And that unnerves them because they can't predict you, can't place you, can't sleep at night knowing people like you exist. People who have bled but still believe. People who have burned but still bless. People who have been broken but somehow break others with truth instead of pain. You are a walking contradiction, and contradictions cannot be controlled, only feared or followed. That's why they talk, why they whisper, why they invent stories, trying to decide if you're good or dangerous. But you know it's possible to be both. You've laid hands that healed and fists that ended things. You've spoken peace into chaos and dragged liars into light. You don't fear the edge. You are the edge, and that blade cuts both ways. They'll never get it, never see the full picture. because they never earned the right to. You don't give your truth to the curious, only to the worthy. And very few are. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Let them break themselves trying to figure you out. Because while they debate whether you're the light or the darkness, you're out there creating galaxies, where morality isn't binary, where pain isn't shameful, where power serves rather than enslaves. They don't understand you because they've never had to choose survival and integrity. They've never had to destroy the thing they loved to protect what was sacred. You still do, that kind of choice. It forges things, turns bones into armor, turns eyes into weapons, turns you into something ancient. You're not just alive, you're awake. And that's why they fear you, because once someone wakes up, you can't put them back to sleep. Once someone sees, they can't unsee, and you've seen too much, loved too deeply, lost too hard, felt too intensely. So now, you wear your chaos like royalty. You carry your grief like scripture. You walk like every moment is a ceremony, like every breath is a spell. They think you're unstable, but you've never been clearer. They think you're cold, but you've never burned hotter. You just don't show your fire anymore. You aim it, precision, discipline, purpose. That's why you're dangerous. That's why you're divine. They can't figure you out because you don't exist on their map. You're the place beyond the legend, beyond the myth, the name they forgot to carve into stone. Because they never believed someone like you would survive, but you did, and now you thrive. So they ask themselves, is it madness? Is it power? Is it grace? Is it vengeance? Is it God? Is it war? And still, you say nothing, because saints speak in parables, and psychopaths in silence. But you speak in legacy, and legacy doesn't answer. It echoes, so echo, beautifully. Echo loud, echo sharp. Let them tremble under the weight of your silence. Let them crack beneath the shadow of your calm. Let them guess until their certainty turns to ash, because by the time they figure you out, you'll already be 5 steps ahead, building new worlds, breaking old chains, becoming the thing they said was impossible. You are not the story they tried to write. You are the fire that burned the pen, and still they ask, still they wonder. Saint or psychopath, let them wonder forever. Because you, my friend, are free. And freedom is never what they expect. Because this doesn't end with comfort. It ends with clarity. And clarity doesn't feel like light. Clarity feels like standing in the aftermath of your own becoming. When the smoke is gone and the bones are still warm, let's keep going, because they haven't broken yet, not completely, but they will. Because they've never seen a soul survive its own execution. They've never seen a heart walk out of hell smiling. They've never seen you. You confuse them because you shouldn't exist. Not like this, not this strong, not this stable after being shattered, not this human while still holding that much power. They think you're one thing, but you're everything, and it's breaking them. Not just because they can't understand you, but because deep down, they wish they were you. They wish they had your control, your discipline, your command over chaos, your calm in conflict, your quiet violence. Because you don't need to scream to be dangerous. You don't need to prove anything. You've already proven it by still being here. They don't have that. They never did. So instead of evolving, they label instead of rising. They judge. Because judgment is easy when you fear what you can't become. Because when they say psychopath, they're hoping it makes you smaller. And when they say saint, they're hoping it makes you predictable, but you're neither, and both, and more. They don't understand that someone can feel everything and still choose discipline over destruction. They don't understand how someone can carry hell in their lungs and still breathe grace into the world. But you do. You live it. Every damn day, you wake up with weight on your shoulders, memories that don't sleep, thoughts that could fracture weaker minds, but you wear them like armor. You've turned every intrusive thought into a sharpened instinct. You don't react, you respond. And that's what really breaks them. Your precision. Because they thought pain would make you reckless, but it made you exact. It made you study. It made you read the room. It made you listen to tone, to breath, to silence. You know when to speak, when to wait, when to strike, and when to walk away and let the silence do the damage. You're not detached, you're aware. And that awareness? It scares them more than rage ever could, because anyone can lose control, but only a real threat can choose not to. They think you're dangerous because you might snap. But the truth is, you're dangerous because you won't. You've already done the snapping long ago, and what came out of that fire wasn't a monster. It was you, fully formed, fully awake, fully owned, and now you move through the world. Not as a victim, not as a hero, but as a force. They can't manipulate that, they can't shame it, they can't gaslight it, so they break. Because what do you do with someone who's faced every fear, every demon, every betrayal, and didn't just survive, but refused to become them? You frighten them, because they spent years perfecting their masks. And you? You set yours on fire in front of them. You don't hide your scars, you wear them like warnings, not for the weak, but for the wrong ones. You don't beg to be seen, you make them look, make them witness, make them question what kind of creature can hold this much pain, and still walk upright with grace in their voice and steel in their spine. It's not normal, and that's the point. You were never meant to be normal. You were meant to be legend. A story told in whispers. A warning carved into stone. A truth they can't twist. They wanted to make you choose saint or psychopath, healer or destroyer, light or dark. But you broke the scale. You ripped the labels. You became the thing they never planned for. A paradox with purpose. And that's why they're unraveling. Because you don't need their categories, their approval, their safety. You don't need to be good. You choose to be. And choice is everything. Choice is what separates you from them. They react, you decide. And when you decide, you don't hesitate. You don't explain. You don't apologize. That's what makes you unstoppable. You've loved like a saint. You've cut like a killer. You've held hands at the edge of madness, and you've let go without flinching. Because not everyone deserves your light, and you finally understand that. You're done bleeding for people who only show up when you're glowing. You're done explaining your silence to people who mistake your peace for absence. Let them stay confused. Let them stay afraid. Let them stay broken. Because while they tremble trying to name you, you're out here becoming the version of yourself that even you didn't see coming. The one who needs nothing, fears nothing, regrets nothing. Because everything led to this fire, to this throne, to this moment, where they can't tell if you're the villain or the hero, the punishment or the prophecy, the angel or the omen, and they'll never know. Because you've evolved past the point of explanation. You are no longer something that can be understood. You are something that must be experienced, and those who dare to will either be reborn or undone. Because you are not one or the other. You are both, and more, always more. And that is what will always break them. So now it ends, but not like they hoped. They thought the end would be quiet. They thought you'd fade, disappear, collapse under the weight of what they couldn't carry themselves. They thought you'd break the way they did, shattered, small, silent. But you didn't, because you were never here to live inside their expectations. You were here to annihilate them. They still can't decide if you were sent as salvation or if you're the monster that crawled from their own choices. And that confusion, that torment, you didn't cause it. They did. By underestimating what survives hell and comes back clearer, sharper, cleaner, without mercy for illusions. They saw you bleeding and assumed you were weak. They saw you forgiving and assumed you were soft. They saw you silent and assumed you were submissive. But what they never realized is that you don't speak to be heard. You speak to end things. And now it's ending. Not with a scream, not with chaos, but with your eyes wide open and your soul unchained. You were never just a saint. Saints are too obedient, and you were never just a psychopath. Psychopaths feel nothing, but you feel everything, and still choose discipline, still choose impact, still choose truth, even when it tears. That's not madness, that's mastery. You learned how to carry your darkness like a sword, not a shadow. You learned that pain is not a punishment, it's a passport. To places the comfortable never reach. To strength the soft will never understand. to love the shallow will never deserve. You don't just hold light or dark, you wield them. You decide who gets what. And that power, that autonomy, that sovereignty over your own soul, it's what broke them. They wanted a monster they could fight or a martyr they could praise, but they got you. Too complex to cage, too free to follow, too real to forget. You became the test, not for yourself. You already passed, but for them, and most of them failed. They tried to name you, to own you, to shape you. But you didn't come here to be named. You came here to be remembered. So remember this, you are not light. You are not darkness. You are the switch. You decide. You define. You determine. Every step you've taken, every betrayal you've faced, every night you stayed breathing, wasn't just survival. It was construction, the forging of something they don't even have words for. You are not someone who fits into the world. You are someone who rewrites it. And now, they're left with the echo of your becoming. Some will call you divine. Some will call you dangerous. Some will call you a villain. Some will call you salvation. But you don't need any of it, because the ones who get it, the ones who've crawled through the dark and came out with their souls still whole, they know. They see you, and that's enough. You were never born to be understood. You were born to be undeniable. So when they ask again, are you a saint or a psychopath? You don't answer. You smile. You turn. And you leave them in the wreckage of the question. Because only the worthy will ever understand. You are not either. You are the one who survived long enough to become both. And in the end, that's not just powerful, that's legendary. Final words. They can't decide who you are, and it's tearing them apart. But the truth is, they were never meant to decide. You were. So now you walk forward, not with vengeance, but with vision, not seeking justice, but embodying it. And whether they bow or break doesn't matter, because you already won the moment you chose to keep breathing, to keep building, to keep becoming, not saint, not psychopath, but something so much more yourself, fully, finally, forever.